Success doesn't always find us the way we thought it would. Sometimes we're forced to pivot into something different, something that we've never imagined that we'd be doing. That's why up next on the TPE, we have Marshall Fox. Marshall is a Maryland based entrepreneur who does graphic design. And over the years, Marshall has been able to execute over $1 million in sales. Marshall also has been able to position himself to be a high value graphic designer, making over $250,000 a year sustainably. That hasn't always been the dream for Marshall. Marshall started out as a loss prevention officer at a retail space. Then he pushed all the chips forward and then went into pursuing selling insurance, having a massive failure there, looking at how he's going to support himself and his family. He was forced to pivot into this space where he is creating a massive amount of value for not only himself, but for other designers as well. I am so excited to have Marshall on the TPE because I am certain he has something to share with you that would not only help you if you want to be in the graphic design space, but for entrepreneurs all across the world who are trying to figure out how to become excellent, how to better position themselves in their business, and just move forward and create success. Let's dive into the episode. Take this mind of mine.
All right, what's up, Marshall? You doing all right today?
Yes, sir. What's happening, Alex?
Man, nothing much, man. Just kind of wanting to jump into this interview, man. But before I do that, I want to kind of stop and pause. I picked my phone up this morning, and I got on Instagram, man. And I seen that you posted like you have this 250K roadmap for graphic designers, man. And I might be butchering the title to this, so please forgive me. Would you go into some detail, man? What you got going on right now?
Yeah, man. So for those who don't know who I am a graphic designer, content creator, and recently turned, I guess, graphic design coach and mentor. My primary business, well, my design business is 120 Design Studio, and I serve seven-figure speakers, authors, coaches, and consultants. And I pretty much do everything, pretty much all the services that they consistently need help with, like branding. Let's say they have a program coming out, a book coming out. I'll do the book cover, website. So the roadmap that Alex is referencing is the six-figure designer roadmap, but you know, for the URL, I put 250K designer. I did have 100K designer, but that's not an accurate reflection of the six figures. Talking the 250 to 300 range, consistently by the grace of God, I've been able to do that. So the roadmap it consists of the exact 7 steps that I've been able to use to position myself and my business as a premium business, a premium service provider for the speakers that I serve. So it's just a roadmap, and it invites people to my Facebook group as well, my free Facebook group for designers. But to answer your question, the graphic designer, coach and mentor for other graphic designers. And my main mission right now is to put other designers on game to show them what success looks like, what success can look like for designers, especially, but not exclusively, Black designers and designers of color. So that's what I'm most excited about, most passionate about right now.
Man, that sounds incredible, man. I I've always just as a kid always had a interest in graphic design. I've had an interest in like, you see the billboards, you see all the publications, and I've always kind of had a itch to want to learn. And so, man, I eventually, was able to scratch that itch a little bit. And actually, that's how we cross paths. And I guess my thing is,
Right.
that's my brief history on what drove me to try to get into the area of graphic design. But for you, like, what spurred this start? What brought you to this point in which you are now a well over six-figure graphic designer? What was that genesis look like for you?
Yeah, man. It's a bit of an unconventional story, if you will. So I'll try to make it quick. So in 2016, I had recently left a fraud investigations position at a credit union. So I managed the fraud investigations team there. But I was listening to a lot of ET, the hip hop preacher. His name's Eric Thomas. He's a motivational speaker. Some of you may be familiar with him. And my father had been selling insurance for about 30 years, and primarily final expense insurance, which is $10,000 to $15,000 policies, whole life policies for seniors that didn't really save up anything for their funeral. Um, so he was like, "Man, you should get your license." So I did. I got my license probably a year prior, my insurance license, and I would make a little money on the side. But listening to a lot of ET, talking with my dad, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna leave my job. I'm gonna leave this job, and I'm gonna go out here in these streets, and we're gonna build $1 million agency. So I did that the summer of 2016. I left that job, man. No, left the fraud investigations job. No savings, no real plan. And the insurance job was straight commission. It was no salary or anything like that. So everything was on me. My wife was a stay-at-home mom at the time. We had 2 kids. So I had a couple pretty good months. Starting out, full time as an insurance salesman. And then things kind of took a turn for the worse. I fell flat on my face financially. I'll spare you the details, but I bought what they call leads. So when people see the commercial, they call in and it's like, "Hey, send me more information." And we would show up. So we would have to purchase those leads to go and see these people to hopefully convert. But I bought a bunch of those leads in the area that wasn't too friendly to my kind. And I didn't know that until I showed up. So I didn't get to sell any policies out of that batch of leads. So I bought more, digging, and I dug myself into a deeper and deeper hole. So I was really faced with a decision like, do I pivot and do something else, or do I keep going in this space? And my wife was actually the one that said, "Hey, you've done a website before, and you do a little graphics for your marketing for the insurance business. What if you actually do that for clients?" So I hadn't really considered that. I mean, I did take a graphic design course in high school, but I hadn't really considered it as a career. As an adult. Mind you, I'm still pretty young. I was like 26 at the time. But I gave her every excuse in the book. I didn't go to school for this. I Googled the average salary. It was like 45K or something like that. I was like, I can't support my family with graphic design. I don't have any experience. But I was like, you know what? I don't have anything to lose. So let me just try it. So I actually hit somebody up in Breathe University, which is Eric Thomas's professional development community. He was on Facebook. Hit them up, was like, "Hey man, looks like your logo for your business could use some work. Do you mind if I create a couple concepts for you, completely pro bono? I'm just trying to build my portfolio." He was like, "Yeah, man, you be a blessing to me. Go for it." And this is somebody who was like relatively um you know, well respected, well liked within the group. I didn't really know anybody, what I'm saying, but I met him earlier in the summer at a meetup. So I did a couple concepts for him. They were pretty much trash, to be honest. But one of them was actually, it had some promise. It had some promise. So he was feeling that one. So that's the one that we kind of refined and perfected until he loved it. And when he posted it in that group on Facebook, Breathe University, and on LinkedIn, that's when things kind of took fire. Yeah. So on LinkedIn, I had some inquiries, and then on Facebook, you look at the posts, it's like mad flame emojis and everything. And it was decent. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't like groundbreaking, but I guess there was an untapped niche within that group, people who needed quality graphic design out of the entrepreneurs and folks that were in there. So that's when things kind of started for me, man. By the grace of God, I was able to go from 0 to over 10K a month within like 2 to 3 months at the end of 2016. And I've kind of been there. Of course, I've increased that over the years, but that's kind of how I got started, man. That's how I got here.
Man, so you said a couple things in that I mean, and here's the thing: I've known you for a little bit of time, and to hear your story, the way you just put it just now was a little bit refreshing. So I guess the number one thing you said that I wanted to hit on is, listening to your spouse even in those moments where you don't think they know what they're talking about. A lot of times, sometimes our not even sometimes, the majority of the times, our spouse is our biggest cheerleader. And they're seeing things in us that we may not see in ourselves. We oftentimes, and this is no knock, we look for mentors, coaches, we look for a whole bunch of other people, and we negate the word that our spouses might have for us, and so, I mean, all kudos to you for hearing her voice. It's almost like it was God speaking through her that kind of, got your attention for sure.
Absolutely.
The next thing you said to me that really stuck out was your willingness to take the bet. I guess you had some experience cold calling from the insurance component, so you may not have much fear there. But I bet there's a lot of people who's going to listen to this and say they have fear of that rejection or fear of just stepping out there and asking somebody the question, because you must have realized, well, the worst thing that this individual could say is no. So why not
Right.
pursue, having that conversation? And lastly, and I think about this all the time for me, when you go back and look at some of your older stuff and you realize how far you've come in terms of your skill set and, what
Yeah.
how well you've
Yeah.
been able to do it, man. So nah, man, it's all about the growth and the evolution. Like, I think I'll go back to like one of our first interactions. We was lightly liking and commenting on stuff, and I think I posted something that I had made on a Galaxy tablet, and I was like, made on Android, and then you hit me up in DM on Instagram. I was like, bro, what device did you use to make that? And I kind of went through my process or whatever, and that's kind of
Yeah.
was the genesis of the conversation. And I ain't gonna lie, I was not say starstruck, but I was kind of like, oh, this is Eric Thomas's graphic designer, who's, I'm having a conversation with this gentleman that's at the time, and for a lot of people, ET is a beacon of light for, a motivating voice for a lot of us. And so, to talk
Mhm.
to the man behind the graphics, and that's kind of a space that I wanted to be in, was kind of cool for me. I still even just kind of look at your stuff now, even though I don't do it from on a commercial or retail level. I still kind of draw off some of the things that I see you do. I'm like, okay, that's what Marshall's doing. Like, yeah, I saw the animation on the post that you had today. I was like, I need to learn
Mhm.
how to do that. I need to learn how to do some of those things. But anyway, man. So you've done what it sounds like to me. Several projects over the last 5 to 8 7 years. What would you say is your favorite project and why?
Yeah, man, this is tough. I know you sent this to me in advance. It's hard to pick a favorite, because so many. It's twofold, man. Because I try not to get emotionally attached to the work that I do. Um, just because, like, I like to move on. I like to get it out the door, and I like to move on and let it do what it's supposed to do. And I realized that I'm a designer. I'm not an artist. I know there's overlap there, but I'm very clear on what I am and what I'm not. Because I have a tremendous reverence and respect for actual artists. So I don't really look at my stuff as art. It's like, look, that has a commercial purpose. It needs to make this person money, get them more visibility. Like, it's very black and white. It's very business for me. So it's hard for me to get emotionally attached to certain things. So with that said, I think those initial projects that I did when nobody really knew who I was, I'm still relatively unknown, but I feel like they have more meaning to me because those are the people that really gave me a shot. Like YB, for an example, but even the people that started spending money with me early on, when I didn't really had no experience, I didn't really have anything in my portfolio, and I never was the cheapest guy. Like, when I first started, I think my first logos were about $350. So I wasn't coming in at with the $50 logo or 20 or $100 logo. So for those people to spend, 350, $700,000 with me, whether it's a website or whatever, they really were gambling on me. You know what I'm saying? They were betting on me, and I just had to deliver. So those projects really had a lot of meaning. But if I had to pick a few that really kind of stuck out to me and I'm proud of, there are a few. So there's a gentleman by the name of Jemal King. He goes by the 9 to 5 Millionaire. I did his logo, his website, but also did his book cover, the 9 to 5 Millionaire. So I really enjoyed that project from beginning to end, and then how it came out. It's mostly like a text based book cover design, but he uses the logo all over the place. But I really enjoyed that process, and that was the first like full book cover design with like a sleeve and a jacket. So with like several panels that I designed. There was some embossed elements and stuff like that, some gold foil elements. So I really liked that design and the final product. He spared no expense when it came to the actual cover of the book. It's a thick book too, so to see that in person is really special to me. That one, also I branded the 120 conference for Eric Thomas. So, all the signage for the hotel, like people walked in. I even have this in a vlog on my YouTube channel, but people walked into the hotel and thought it was like, did he buy the hotel? They were telling the story on the podcast just because there were so many individual branding elements and signage that I created. And I did it strategically, like depending on where the signage was in the hotel. Like, I have certain arrows with certain sayings, like this way to greatness and stuff like that, or like when you walking out of the hotel, like don't leave unchanged, little things like that. So that was
Now,
special
let
also.
me hold on. Let me break into that. Did ET give you the freedom to make those decisions? Did he say, "Hey, here are the locations. Here's the canvas that you can play in." Did you think about those elements? I mean, I'm sorry, I don't want to get into the nuts and bolts, or I hope I'm
Oh,
not getting
yeah.
into the secret sauce
Oh,
of the operation. But did he give you the
oh,
freedoms to be able to make those decisions?
yeah, man, and that's something I really enjoy about not only E but the clients that I work with. One, I'm not the cheapest guy on the block, so and that's a nugget for designers. When you charge a certain amount, and when you show up a certain way and present yourself a certain way, clients they don't micromanage. They let you do your job, so they tend to give you more creative freedom because like, well, I'm paying this guy 10 grand or whatever, so I'm gonna let him. I trust him. When you're not charging a lot, clients can tend to treat you like a commodity, and they feel like they have to micromanage you. And that tends to be what they do, especially lower paying clients. So yeah, I had full autonomy. It was completely up to me. I had already did the logo probably a year prior. So it's just a matter of coming up with a design language for the conference, which ended up being like a darker blue and like a orange halftone gradient type of situation. So yeah, no, I had full autonomy over that. And that's something that I let uh my main point of contact for that project, Tiffany. It wasn't E. I wasn't speaking directly with him while designing it. He just kind of shows up and is like, oh wow, this is dope. But I let her know, like, so on me, connect me to the printers, whoever's printing the signage, just so in case they have any questions, like specifications, if I need any specific templates, they need any last minute adjustments, connect me directly to them. So this is something that's completely off of your plate. You don't have to worry about it. Marshall's got it. It's going to be done. If it's a lot of any back and forth that needs to happen, I don't have to be in the middle of it. So I do that. I give them that peace of mind, and then I charge accordingly for it. Clients will pay as long as they feel like you got it and they don't have to handhold and micromanage. You know what I'm saying? So yeah.
Absolutely, and I know you. I know you are niched down. But what you're saying is not only applicable to I think the graphic design world, is also applicable to several different businesses where it's usually an individual rendering a service. Like I told you
Right.
before, my wife is doing interior design, and I think this is the exact dialogue. I'm gonna be honest with you, in real time, this is the exact pinch point that we're at. We're at the crossroad
Mhm.
right now of, okay, you raise prices, you'll weed out those people who, those clients that want to own every decision. And it's like, well, why did you solicit my services in the first place if you are wanting to
Right.
micromanage the situation? And we're getting to that
Right.
crossroads to where it's like, okay, this is already a premium service as is. The context of what we're doing, and I think it's almost semi synonymous with graphic design a little bit in terms of the luxury of it.
Mhm.
And yeah, no, that was really, really, really good. I appreciate your honesty there. Now I'm going to move on into the next question, and I don't want you
Yeah.
to give it too much up here, because I got a feeling that your new roadmap is kind of going to speak to this a little bit. So if you would give us a little bit, like, you're highly sought after. You do a graphic design for the Hip Hop Preacher ET. You've done Inky's Johnson's rebrand. You do Jemal King and probably countless other high profile individuals, specifically speakers. Why do you think, other than the quality of the product, right? I mean, I think you're top notch when it comes to the end result, what was customer facing. Why do you think those people do business with you? Like, in some detail, like, what is it about Marshall that differentiates him from the pack that these guys want to be able to say that you do their graphics?
Yeah. It's several reasons, man. But if I had to pick a few, I would say that early on I was focused on serving. Even though I admit, and I talked to the designers that I mentor and coach, I let them know, like, I didn't get into this space because I just had a passion for graphic design. I came into it because I wanted to make some money. You know what I'm saying? I wanted to feed my family. So that kind of gives me an advantage over a lot of those, like, almost like starving artists who are doing it just for the passion, but then they're afraid to raise their rates and add more value and stuff and charge more. So I came in serving first. You know what I'm saying? I came in serving first, trying to build my portfolio, being genuine, being a man of integrity, and just doing things a little bit differently. Not to say I didn't make any mistakes, because I made mistakes early on, but coming in hungry and ready to serve. And I let my clients know, like, when you leave from me, just bear with me. Be patient with me. When you leave from me, I'm gonna make sure you're 120% satisfied. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was committed to that, and they felt that from me, and then they got a phenomenal product at the end of the day. So that's one thing. And two, you said, you mentioned that I was niche down. So niching is so important because it takes a lot of the need to market away. Like I don't need to market because I say I serve speakers. So now that I say I serve seven-figure speakers, my clients have friends, they talk, so that word of mouth is there. Two, if there's a seven-figure speaker, they're like, all right, well, I need a high level designer. So if there's a list of designers and this designer does A, B, and C, this designer does, X, Y, and Z, but this designer says, hey, I serve speakers, so I'm automatically getting their attention. One, and then if I could speak their language, through my marketing message and stuff like that, then it's like I get a long, hard look, So that's been an advantage as well. Just saying, look, I serve you. I know where you're at. I know where you've come from. This is what you likely need. I'm able to anticipate their need before they even able to articulate it. So it's almost like I'm reading their mind, and all that comes from just being niche down, saying, "Hey, I serve you." So that's been helpful. And the third thing is I do what the other designers don't do, like the average designer, or I actually don't do what they do. The mistakes that they typically make, and I've made those mistakes. So a big one is communication. You know what I'm saying? A lot of designers don't communicate with their clients. They may be late, or they may overpromise and underdeliver. They may be all sizzle with no steak. They'll have a lot of energy going into the project. The client will be comfortable, excited, but then they'll go ghost on them. They won't hear from them, or they'll deliver a subpar product. So me knowing that, all I got to do is do the opposite. Over communicate. Make sure that they have that assurance and feel comfortable with where we are. Making sure that we're walking hand in hand throughout the process. From the very beginning, I started incorporating strategy. So every step of the process, we're walking hand in hand, so there are no surprises. You know what I'm saying? So that makes the entire thing not only easier for me, but it makes the client impressed too. Like, oh yeah, he knows what he's doing. You know what I'm saying? I'm comfortable with this because I'm not just getting designs out of left field 2 weeks later. You know what I'm saying? So those are the three main things that I've done. Serve first, being niche down, and doing what other designers aren't doing. So
Man, and that's awesome, and I think that's so important to realize, as particularly an entrepreneur. You're kind of a one person team almost. Yeah, you used to solicit. I mean, now I think, if I'm not recall correctly, you're starting now to solicit the help of other designers, coming into to 120. But for the most part, I think a lot of entrepreneurs don't understand, when you're in this by yourself, you are HR, you are the IT department, you are public relations, you are everything. And there's a lot of those buckets that entrepreneurs miss, because they feel like, well, if I focus on the product or service, the client should be okay with half-hearted communication. The client should be okay with, just this subpar performance in these other areas. And a lot of times we don't realize that we gotta be, our product and service, everything around that has to be as good as the product or service. And so, man, I think you're crushing it there. Now, that kind of brings me into my next question, and I know you have some good tips here. Is, how do you stay productive as an entrepreneur? Particularly, the majority of us are conditioned and trained, and I'm assuming you at one point, to plug into a machine. When I say plug into a machine, I go to work, I clock in, and I'm in this system where there's other people. There's this unspoken and spoken accountability for the work that you do, and deadlines, timelines, and you're more prompted to do those things in that work environment, versus being an entrepreneur. When you wake up in the morning, it's up to you, really, whether or not you're going to perform, and it's up to you. And so, how do you stay engaged? How do you stay productive? What's the mindset around that?
yeah, man, I have so much so that I have I have a resource called High Value Productivity Hacks, which is a part of my premium program, the High Value Designer System. It's a bonus, but I have, like, it's 20 something hacks, but I'll share a few of them with you. So one is I track my time, like pretty much everything that I do, with a tool called Toggle. So it's TOGGL.com, because you can tell me I wasn't working like 60, 70 hours a week in design. And when I started tracking my time, I realized that I wasn't. I was barely getting 30, 40 hours, like actual time on task. You know what I'm saying? It may have even been less. So I realized, okay, there's a lot of time that's unaccounted for. You know what I'm saying? Maybe scrolling on social media, maybe distracted, maybe running out to grab something to eat. You know what I'm saying? That time adds up. So when I started tracking my time, it was really eye opening for me, and I was able to do things like time block, but be really focused during the time that I'm working. Because, like, you have this almost like a big brother watching you, because this app If you're idle, let's say on your computer for 5 minutes, it'll pop up and say, "Look, you got some idle time. What do you want to do? Discard this, or you want to keep going?" You could have been, reading or something like that, but it just forced me to be very cognizant of how I was spending my time. So that's one of my secret superpowers, or one of my secret hacks, is tracking my time. Everything that I do, not just for my retaining clients, because that's primarily why I use it, why I started using it. But if this meeting, for example, I'm tracking this. Anything that I do work related, I have that timer going. You know what I'm saying? So I can look back at the end of the week or the end of the month and see how my time was spent, whether it's work related, whether it's design or coaching, etc. So I can see how, like, what that split is. So that's one thing. It's another one. It's maybe a little funny, but something that's made a tremendous impact on my productivity is, this may be controversial, is blocking the shade room on Instagram. Blocking the shade room on Instagram. If you're familiar with the shade room, you know what it is. If you're not, it's like a gossip website, like black celebrity news and stuff. And I'll be honest, that's one of my weaknesses. I still check TMZ regularly, so I'm not fully out of the matrix when it comes to the celebrities. I don't know what it is. That's one of my things. I don't know why. But blocking the shade room definitely helped, because I will find myself on there like daily. Who knows how long I'll be on it, just to see what's going on. You know what I'm saying? Just being nosy and unproductive at the end of the day. So that's helped tremendously since I blocked the shade room with my productivity. And another one is blocking my Facebook timeline with an extension called Newsfeed Eradicator. So I don't have Facebook on my phone, and I only use it on the computer, but I block my timeline. I block it from time to time. So when I go on to Facebook, I just jump in my groups. I don't even see anything on the news feed because it's pretty much blocked. It doesn't show anything on the news feed, so you don't get caught just endlessly scrolling. So that's been helpful as well. And designers that I mentor and coach, that I've shared that with, they've had success with that as well. So the last thing I'll share is limiting my inputs while trying to output. So before, I would while I'm working, I'll try to, be in a flow state, really get in my groove, in the zone. But I'll be listening to audiobooks, or, having YouTube up. I like these property tours, like these mansions. That's one of my things that I really like, or like, interviews, podcasts, and stuff like that. But I would stop, specifically with, especially with podcasts and ebooks, or like audiobooks. I would stop, take notes, or my mind would be start to think about what they say. Like, you know what, that would be good to share with my audience or my list, or just take that note, or it's helpful for me in my life. So it's just a lot of stopping and starting when I'm supposed to be working. So I just try to limit my inputs, limit that stuff. And I listen to music now, and I don't even listen to music with lyrics, because I only get this singing the song. I just let it flow. You know what I'm saying? So I can it'll help me reach the flow state that much easier, and stay in the zone, and listen to that stuff later, like when I'm not trying to work. So that's helped me as well. Like, I see my productivity increase when I wasn't like watching YouTube and listening to audiobooks while I'm supposed to be doing deep work.
Yeah, so it sounds like just taking over your time, and then like blocking out the distractions. Time and distractions.
Yeah.
If anything, if you don't do nothing else, just look at how your time is divided. And I know, like, the screen time function on the iPhone really is a godsend for me. Just realistically saying, well, I won't be on Facebook, or really pull that screen time out, and it'll tell you, exactly what you're really doing. Or just those distractions. I know for me, man, the way my setup is, I got my iPad right here in front of me, my phone's in front of me when I'm trying to work on my computer, and I call myself having YouTube up, and I'm completely stopped what I've done, what I'm trying to get done, and I'm watching YouTube video. Crushes my productivity. So definitely appreciate those tips. So you have mentioned, and I know you said this before, and you said this in our time so far, that you do coaching and mentoring, and you've got a group on Facebook, and you've got some high level things. Actually, I was a part of that group, one iteration of that group at one point, and I enjoyed my time while I was there. But what do you get out of that? Like, what do you get out of those interactions? Like, what do you, as an entrepreneur, what is the, maybe the end game, or for you in that regard, or you're just, what feelings do you get?
Yeah, man, it's twofold. On one hand, it's what I'm able to give to the designers. So just so you guys know, I have a couple main channels, right, that I do my teaching and training and coaching and mentoring through. So one of them, of course, is my YouTube channel, and another is my free Facebook group, Good to Go, on Facebook for other designers. And then the third one is my signature program, the High Value Designer System. So it really just depends on where I am, whether I'm on Facebook or in the system with people that are kind of in my inner circle, which was the first iteration. You ran the first iteration of that, or on YouTube. But it's seeing the designers have the kinds of transformations that I know they can have, and having those aha moments was like, wow, like I was afraid to quote 1,500 for this project. I just got a testimonial back today. It was a designer that was charged, I think, $500 for his websites. Joined my system, and he started charging 1,500, and the client said yes. And they said, yeah, your quote was the lowest, but it was the most value, so we decided to go with you. So next thing you know, he started charging 3,000, and that's where he's been ever since. So he went from 500 to $3,000 for his sites. Now he's gotten a multiple of those. So to see that, man, I think when I did the math, it was like over $10,000 he had made within a couple months. 10,000 more than he would have made from the same exact projects. Just because he's seen the confidence, like he's increased his confidence, he's seen what's possible, so he's able to allow me to help give him permission and give himself permission to really charge what he's worth. So seeing those transformations, and uh, yeah, that's primarily. And then the second thing is what I get from it, where it's like, okay, you see everybody's journey is different. So everybody requires a different approach. So I've been able to do that because early on I was like, yeah, I made X, Y, and Z, you should be able to do it too, not realizing, okay, they have different things that they're dealing with. They're, different walks of life. They may be a single parent, not a lot of help. So they may not have a lot of money to invest into their, presentation, their setup, etc. They may have confidence issues, mindset. So like doing it over time has allowed me to see, okay, you got to meet people where they are and really understand, ask questions, understand where they are and how you can be of assistance, because there's no one size fits all solution. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like when I have these coaching sessions, this is like a therapy session for me. Like I feel like I get just as much out of it as my clients do. So that's been special to me as well.
Man, so I guess the one thing that I guess in me asking you this question, and in me listening to your response there, and you being an active designer, the coaching and mentoring piece right now is a supplement, is a side piece to your main deal, which is designing, correct? And so effectively, what you're doing is you're building up other designers, and some people would say, well, why would you do that? You're taking away from your own business. You're taking away from your own plate. What's your viewpoint on that? Like, do you feel like these designers are going to outdo you one day, or are you even thinking about that, or are you scared of that?
Nah, so I mean, on one hand, I would hope so. I would hope that they will outdo me. And the thing is, man, it's so much opportunity out here. It's crazy. If anything, it's like at any point I can say, look, let's form up like Voltron, you know what I'm saying? Create a super agency. It's so much business out here. And that's one of the main things that I talk about, is that, the type of clients that I serve, it's a shortage of high value designers to serve them. Like there's so many, new millionaires out here, just high paying clients. I'm not even talking about like Fortune 500. I'm talking about 7, 8 figures. That's not that big of a. That's still small business. You know what I'm saying? A lot of my clients, they like got a small team, if a team at all. You know what I'm saying? So it's not like they got hundreds of millions of dollars and $1 million marketing budgets. Nah, they just might have 50 grand to spend. You know what I'm saying? I'll take it. you know, so it's so much out here for all of us, man. And I'm a human being, you know what I'm saying? So when I see other designers making the same mistakes over and over, just blatantly all on social media, speaking to the wrong type of client, posting the wrong types of things, trying to convince the low paying clients to spend more, it's like I'm the type to say something about it. And that's one of the reasons that my wife even pushed me into this space. I don't like saying push, but that's literally what happened. Is because I would see a menu, I would see a business card, I would see, a logo and say, that's trash, that's trash. So she was pretty much like, why don't you do something about it? You've been talking about this stuff for years. Why don't you actually do something about it and make some money with this? You know what I'm saying? So I've never been the type to hold my tongue. Even now, I jump into designers' DM with the quickness and try to give them some game, and they're always appreciative of it because they know it's coming from a genuine place. If I can help you level up and feed your family and feed them well, it's a win for me. I could care less about them taking my business or anything like that. And I told the designers in good go, look, we could all serve the same niche and all kill it, just because there's so much opportunity out here. And I'll wrap up with this. Skill is such a small portion of it. It's such a small portion of it. Like, I know, like, most of the designers I even coach, they're more talented than me. You mentioned skill, like level up my skill over the years. My skill really hasn't changed that much over the years. Skill is such a small piece of it. A lot of it is business. A lot of it is positioning. How are you positioning yourself and your business? What's your marketing message like? Are you niche down? It's those things. Are you having your LLC set up? Are you using a professional email address? Is your portfolio updated? Does it speak to who you would like to serve? Like, there are designers who, they do flyers. I do flyers as well, but that's all they'll post, and then they'll wonder why they're not getting high paying clients. It's like, you just want to post the type of work that you want more of. Don't just post every little thing that you do. So yeah.
No, that's hard. I think it's it's a certain mindset when people, it's a scarcity mindset. Like, it's,
Mhm.
like there's not enough work out there for all of us. That there's plenty of work, for everybody. And I'm a witness to you just jumping in a designer's DM and giving some game, because I think I was probably a benefactor of some of that action one time, where you kind of hit me up on some stuff, man. And I appreciate that, man. Here's my last question for you. If you can start all the way over, go all the way back to, I think what you said, 2016, with the knowledge that you have now, what would you do differently? Like, how would your approach be any different than knowing what you know now?
Yeah, man, that's tough because I don't really think I would do anything differently. But if I had to pick a couple things, I would say, one, I would communicate better because, like I said, I haven't been perfect, man. Like, I made a lot of the mistakes that designers make now, so I've kind of learned from those mistakes. Like, communicate. I was the guy that wasn't communicating as much as I should have with my clients, but it would be like, I would have quote unquote forgiveness points, like Michael Jackson says, built up. Whereas, like, when they're gonna get the product, it's gonna be fire. They're gonna be in love with it. So if it's late, it's late. I was kind of like that. So I would, if was to go back, I would do a better job at communicating early on. And the second thing I would say is, I would believe in myself earlier. Um, because and that's something I talk about now. Like, when I talk about my systems, like, you don't even really have to believe in yourself. You just gotta make a decision and find a system or a process and just trust it. Like, follow it to a T. Say, look, all work works. I'm gonna make it work for me, and just trust the process. Because I probably made $500,000 as a graphic designer before I really started believing in myself. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was like, this is a fluke. I dealt with imposter syndrome. I was like, this gonna come crashing down. For example, I use Wix. I still use Wix to this day. I don't code, so there's a level of imposter syndrome there. It's like, man, you're not even a real you're not even a real web designer. You don't know how to code, and no development, you know. So there's a level of imposter syndrome there. So I would try to get ahead of that earlier on, because even though I kind of knew what imposter syndrome was when somebody told me about it, it still affected me. You know what I'm saying? But now it's like, I could care less. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just know what it is and know how to move forward. So
Yeah, man. No, I think that's huge, and I think that has got to be probably one of the largest barriers of entry for the majority of people, not just from a design standpoint, but just anything. That imposter syndrome, that lack of belief in yourself, and I think I've heard on a podcast. I don't know if you listen to Joe Budden, but I heard him say all it takes is, if you get that one person to believe in you, how
yeah,
that levels up your confidence, how that levels up your ability to do it. And then a lot of times, that one person has to be us first. It has to be yourself first. You know what I mean? And so,
yeah.
man, Marshall, I appreciate your time, man. Where can we find you? What's that
No doubt.
Instagram?
Yeah.
How can we find you
So
on Facebook?
yeah. So on Instagram, it's Marshall Fox. So it's MarshallFox on Instagram. YouTube.com/Marshall Fox 120. Facebook, just look up Good to Goat. So GOOD, the number 2, and then Goat, like GOAT. That's my group for designers. And I will drop these couple links. So if the roadmap we alluded to, that's 250K designer roadmap.com. And I do have a masterclass as well that leads into my premium program. But that's high value designer masterclass.com. That's HI value designer masterclass.com.
Yeah, so I will definitely include those links into the description. This will be on YouTube, and it'll be in Apple, Spotify, Google, all the places. But man, Marshall, I appreciate your time. I know it's valuable. Thank you, man, for being willing to be a part of this. And man, I can't wait till the next time.
Likewise, man. Thank you. I appreciate you for inviting me. And yeah, this was fun, my brother. So thanks again.
Yes, sir.
Take this mind of mine.